Sound rolling. All right, welcome to the show. This is Good Morning Bangalore, and a new segment called Jam Rooms, where I, get an indie artist to come in and talk about their new songs as well as play me a little bit of their song. So this morning we've got Rounak Maiti in the studios. What's up, Rounak? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. A little bit tired, but doing great.
Why are you tired, man?
Thanks for
Tell
having me. It's been a bit of a busy weekend.
Yeah.
A lot of shows, a lot of traveling. Bit exhausted, but feeling fulfilled, feeling happy.
Good hectic.
Yeah, it's a good hectic.
It's a good
This is the
hectic.
kind of hectic you want.
Yeah, that's what you want in life, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Rounak is a singer, songwriter, and a multi-instrumentalist, and has self-produced SoundCloud demos, sound art, full-length albums since 2012. I was in 8th grade in 2012, and you were already making music back then, man.
I just started.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah.
2012, making music since then. You've 2 albums out,
Mm-hmm.
and now you're touring India
Yeah.
on your. When you have your new song out. It's called Enlightened,
Yes.
which is amazing.
Thank you.
I
So
love
much.
the song, man.
Thank you.
And welcome to the Radio 1 Studios.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Dude, Ronak, as an independent artist, before we get into the song and talk about what it means to you, as an independent artist, there are a bunch of challenges that we were talking about before this, right?
Yeah.
Can you just tell me what are the challenges that you face today in this India music scene, so that we can try and help people get to know better and get them out a little bit there? Yeah.
Starting with easy questions.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very light questions.
No. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah.
Why get the heavy ones first? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like, I feel like I've been making music for a minute now, for quite a while. And it's, it goes without saying that things have completely changed in the last 10 years. I think the landscape that I found myself in initially when I was making music has no resemblance to what it is today.
Right.
Because I started at a point where Instagram was non-existent, Reels, TikTok was non-existent, streaming platforms were non-existent. So it was
Right.
really just YouTube.
YouTube.
And CDs still and
radio,
and radio,
yeah.
yes, of course, and radio and physical media and SoundCloud.
That was huge.
So yeah, it was kind of at the tail end of the analog age in a way, and it was just at the cusp of when things were about to change completely. So I think if this was me at that point, I maybe would have given you a different set of challenges. That I wish I had equipment, I wish I had this, I wish I had that, but those are all kind of a given now, and those are moot at this point because you don't need anything anymore to make music, to be frank.
Honestly, really.
It's as an art form, it's accessible, and it doesn't require you to be technically trained at
Right.
all. I'm
Yeah.
not really technically trained in music much. My background is more familial and more just through personal experiences. So it's not the making of the music which is a challenge anymore. I think it's getting yourself out there.
It's the second half of it, right?
It's the second half.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's right now it's more about your presence in a landscape, how you fit into a scene, what is your presence online, etc., etc. Things people already kind of know. And I think when I do meet people who are just starting or they want to start, that's what they ask me is how do you do it? And I genuinely don't know what to say because I started in a very different way where I was not making music for a career as such. I was just making it and not thinking too much about it and just uploading it to SoundCloud and sending the links to my friends and family being, hey, I'm making music now.
Right.
And before I knew it, things kind of gained some momentum and, they reached a point where, I was like, okay, now I'm doing it because I'm a public facing artist. So the challenge is, I think, mainly that what people struggle with is just, how do I get myself out there? How do I let people know that what I'm making is good and it's worth listening to? And that is, even for me, the toughest thing to navigate. Is that
there are so many artists as well making music and putting it out there.
Right.
That's the thing, right? I think Bangalore and India itself,
Yeah.
there are so many artists putting some stuff out there, and it's incredible that we don't even know about them.
Exactly.
Which
And it's hard because
Yeah.
how are they supposed to cut through the noise?
Exactly.
We're overloaded with content on a day-to-day basis, and it's asking a lot of people to dig through all of that and try and find something that they might like. So increasingly, I guess we rely on things like the radio, like tastemakers, to tell us what we should be listening to. But even then, so much of it gets lost,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate because there's no dearth of talent in this country.
Completely
It's
agree.
more that the infrastructure is a bit weak, and it's a bit harder to find those opportunities. So people have to, kind of bootstrap themselves. They have to do everything on their own. And increasingly now, I feel like what's really cool and what's inspiring to see, especially among younger musicians, is that they become kind of versatile.
Right.
You become kind of a multitasker by definition. If you're not just like, oh, I sing, like you may also be a producer. You may also take your own photos. You may also be a video director. You're a designer. You're packaging every aspect of your life as an artist. And you kind of have to have that, you got to be quick on your feet and you got to be adaptable. So I think that is, the thing that most people should be doing. And it's very important to like control more aspects of your life as an artist and not, just be like, oh, hey, I want to make music. Like, where's everybody? Why isn't anybody supporting me?
Exactly.
You do have to do a lot of things on your own now.
We have a quote that my boss has written out there called, he says, specialization is for insects. And that really hits me hard because it makes a lot of sense, right? You can't just do one thing anymore. Everyone's doing multiple different things, and this whole idea of you should just focus on one task at hand. But you should also be able to do like different tasks after you're done with that one task, right?
And I find that it liberates you a lot as an artist too, to like to have a little bit more of control over those aspects. It's actually very freeing for me to know that like I don't work with a lot of like producers and mix engineers and this and that. Like I like to control more aspects of the music. I like to have a direct say in the artwork. I like to like direct my own music videos, like the Enlightenment video.
At the end of the day, it's your art, right?
Right, exactly.
So if you don't have like a good stake in it, then is it your art anymore? It's like the ship of thesis thing, right?
Yeah, for sure, exactly.
I'm pretty sure you go, but coming back to like whole idea of challenges. You've lived in the US. You've performed in the US. You've made music in the US. Compared to India and US, which scene do you kind of vibe with more? Now, when I say that, I mean like I know the US is a lot hectic. Like a lot more hectic in terms of that.
I think my reasons for living in India don't have too much to do with the scene. I like living in India because I just like being in this country. I like living here. I like the people more. I feel more at home, which goes without saying, obviously, because it is home. But, as a scene, this even saying scene in the US is tough because it's too much of a catch-all term, right? Because there's just so much going on.
Right.
Every subgenre of music has its own scene with its own subcultures. And on any given night in a major city in America, like there's so much happening and there's just so much saturation, so much noise. So in a way I prefer it because there's those options presented to you, but at the same time it's difficult to navigate it as an artist because there's so much going on. So I miss, the variety of gigs. I miss going to a lot of shows, seeing artists I love, being surprised all the time. Comparatively, there's less to discover, there's less to even go patronize as a listener in India. There's on any given night, there's not multiple gigs happening. You're lucky you're lucky if there's a weekend in Bangalore or Delhi or Bombay where there's multiple things for you to go to. Such things don't really exist.
True.
In this country.
And even if there are, if you want to go to place to place, the traffic will be like, no, bro, you can't. By the time you get there, it's all over. They're all backing up, and you're just like, hey, let's just head back home, dude. Now. But as a musician, I'm pretty sure you've hit creative blocks. As you go through. How do you get around that? What do you do to like? Okay.
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I feel as far as creating stuff, as far as making music, making art, whatever your form of expression may be, it's important to not force it, and it's important to not look at it as like a product which has to be created. Because you're not a factory. You're not a company. You're not creating something to optimize some kind of commercial value. You really need to tap into something. You need to be fully honest and authentic with yourself, and that creates the best work, I feel like. So if I do face a block like that, I try to not force it. I won't just be like, oh no, I have to sit in the studio and like finish this today. I'll leave. I'll give my ears a break, especially because too much listening to music all the time also exhausts you. It exhausts your ears, and I don't want to put myself in a position like that. So I take a step back. I listen to more music. I watch some films. I talk to people. I try and like live my life a little bit.
Nice.
And then I come back to it. I think traveling and being in different places is really nice. It definitely gives you a lot of fodder as an artist to just like have different experiences. I think staying shut in the studio in your house, it doesn't really help. I do that when I am getting down to work. But if I'm looking for things to talk about, things to just write about or whatever, then you kind of just have to live your life and
You have to experience things so that you write about
you have
it,
to
right?
not
Yeah.
overthink it too much, because
True,
the music
true.
will come out of you when the moment is right,
Right.
and then
Right.
you won't know when it's happening, but when it happens, you go in there and you channel it to the best of your ability.
Now, I found this picture on Instagram, and you put
Yeah.
this up quite recently.
Yeah.
Tell me what. I'll show this to the camera so that they see it. Tell me more about this picture. How old are you in this picture, by the way?
I'm probably like 3 or 4 years old.
Whoa! 3 or 4 years old, and
Yeah.
clearly you're already making music back there. What's going on here,
I don't know
dude?
if I was making music. Yeah, I was making some crazy beats, man. Yeah.
Dropping them sick bars right there.
Exactly. Yeah, I was a prodigy from that age. No,
Like-
but I may have mentioned it in passing just earlier now, but I grew up in a very musical environment. Both of my parents, being from a Bengali background, both of my parents, are huge. They were musicians. They were music lovers, music listeners. So the household was always very musical.
Right.
Like I have a lot of memories of listening to music and constantly being surrounded by music. And there was always a CD playing in the house. There was always a cassette playing in the house.
Lovely.
Whenever I woke up. My mom, she sings a lot. My dad also sings. And they were both generally into poetry and theater as well. So I grew up in that kind of a household and environment.
It sounds like a very Bengali household.
Yes, it was a very, very Bengali household.
Full of literature and reading and
Yeah, and then friends would come over and then
Right.
they would all drink and sing together, and
Lovely.
it was a very convivial atmosphere. And I'm very lucky that way, because I think my parents have, they've been very supportive of music as a pursuit from the very beginning. But yeah, in this picture, I think basically it was my dad's little audio setup that we had in our house in Cleveland, in Ohio, in the US, because that's where I was born.
Okay.
My parents were living there through the 90s. And that was his little keyboard setup in our suburban house in Cleveland, Ohio. And that's me just sitting at the keyboard and messing around. Apparently, I used to play on the keyboard and just making random gibberish sounds,
Right.
obviously, but getting my hands on the gear early on.
If you could go back in time and tell that little kid something, what would you tell him?
Damn. I guess start a bit earlier.
Really?
Start
Start right now,
Yeah, start right now. Yeah, start earlier. And I would tell him to not do classical music, because I don't want to say I wasted my time doing that, because it did give me a foundation. But I was doing classical, Western classical music on the piano.
Oh, Western classical. I thought Indian classical.
No, Western classical.
Okay.
Yeah, I was playing Mozart and stuff, apparently.
How fun was that?
It wasn't. It was, I think it gave me that very rigorous foundation for music, which I am indebted to. I would be remiss to say that, it was a complete waste of time. But, the lifestyle that music necessitates is not for me. Because I have discipline about what I do, but I do it in my own way. I'm not a big fan of following prescriptive rules and
Right.
discipline and going through the system and paying homage to some apparent guru or master. I'm not a big believer in that system. I just like to sit down and learn things on my own. But some people are cut out for it. Some people have that rigor and that discipline, to be able to do it. But I think doing that for 6-7 years, as long as I was doing it, it made me really enjoy music, but I did not enjoy
that music.
I didn't enjoy the process of just learning for an exam and then doing the recital, and then as soon as you do the exam and you somehow pass, then you start learning for the next year's exam.
Right.
And it's a grind. It's a different.
It's the same old system all over again.
Yeah. And I didn't really enjoy the music I was learning. I was learning very complex pieces and stuff, but I didn't really enjoy it. I was listening to other music on the side, whatever my parents were making me listen to, rock music, whatever, whatever I was getting started with back then, Green Day, Metallica and stuff. I was listening to more of that, and so the piano classes were just a drag.
Did you ever want to funk it up a little bit when you go for recitals? Dude, today, who cares about the passing and all that? I'm just gonna put my own beat into this.
I wish.
Change up Mozart a little bit.
I
Mozart be
wish.
turning in his grave.
I wish. Yeah, but that world is, it's cutthroat. And I mean,
Really?
it's very, the exams are very difficult.
Oh,
They're
man.
very stringent, and the recitals are very formal. It was a whole different life.
Right,
It's a different
right.
life. And classical musicians, I have a lot of respect for them, honestly, because it takes a lot of strength of mind and composure to be able to live your entire life learning music like that.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
some people are just naturally able to do music like that.
Mm.
They have a natural knack for music which is like that. But my approach to music is a bit more simple. It's a bit more personal. It's more emotional and and personal than it is anything. So yeah, wasn't the life for me. So maybe I would tell that kid to not
Not
do
do
that.
classical music. Right, right.
Yeah.
Tell me, you got your new song out,
Yes.
Enlightened, right?
Mm,
And it's a brilliant track. Tell me more
Thank
about
you.
the song. How did you come up with it? Like, not how did you come up with it, more like, but when you release it, and how's the process of you like making that song?
Yeah. This was one of the first songs I wrote when I moved back to India from
Mhm.
the US in 2019.
Mm-hmm.
As far as a process, I mean, it's pretty similar to how I make most of my music. I think when I go into a song, because I also produce my own records,
Mhm.
I have a pretty good idea of what the vibe is going to be.
Mm.
So I went into it, not knowing too much about what the lyrical content was going to be. But I knew I wanted it to be like a nostalgic,
Mm.
kind of, hearkening to like past aesthetics kind of a track. I knew I wanted an 80s vibe. I wanted like a big snare drum. I wanted like synths. I wanted like a, synth bass line. I wanted a crazy electric guitar lead. So all those kind of pieces are already in my head when I first start working on something. And like I have a sense of the vibe already, so I
Yeah.
construct that first before anything, and I play the chords and I build the beat and I produce the song really in its entirety
Lovely.
before I go in and I start writing words.
Oh, so you
Yeah.
do it like many people write the lyrics first and then they go into
Yeah.
the music, but you do the other way
Yeah,
around.
like how people like travel on the train with like a notebook and like write lyrics
Yeah,
and stuff.
yeah.
I've literally never done that. I've never.
I just
ever
thought of the
done that.
namesake.
Yeah,
I just thought of the namesake.
Yeah, it's a good film. Yeah,
Yeah.
good film. But great book also, of course. But I think words, like while they are important to me, I think they are the last step in the process. And with words, whatever comes out just comes out. I try to not question it too much.
Mm.
With any part of the music making process, I'm a big believer of like this, like first thought is the best thought kind of thing. Like just put it to paper as soon as it comes out, and then I try to not overthink it too much. I will tweak things afterwards, but with words, I look at them in a bit more of a meta way, where like it's the sound of the words
I was
as
gonna get
opposed
to
to
that.
the
Yeah.
meaning of the words,
Right.
because there is some meaning, of course, because I'm saying it's coming out of
Right.
whatever, out of my mind, but I'm not sitting and thinking too much about like, okay, like is this a proper narrative? Are people gonna get it? Does this mean something? I feel like individually the lines might invoke something for different
Something.
people.
Yeah.
I think I like to keep things a little bit intentionally ambiguous and a little bit open-ended, because I kind of want the listener to listen to it and project their own truth onto it.
Correct. Correct.
So the
Yeah.
listener may see this as a love song, which it is in many ways. They may see it as a coming of age track. They may see it as a nostalgic track. They may see it as a happy track. They may see it as a sad track. I leave those things intentionally
them.
very open and up to them.
But do you have like a certain personal thing towards it?
I think for me, it's very much a coming of age song, because it marked a transition and like a transitional point in my life, because I just moved back. And a lot of it was just, I think in my music, similarly, I talk a lot about like kind of trying to understand my past, trying to reckon with that past and like how it's changed my life now. I talk a lot about family and relationships and just, the people in my life. But again, like it's hard to get into specifics because it
Correct.
isn't
Yeah, I get it,
specifically
I get it.
about anything
Get it? Yeah.
as such, But a lot of it is, it's to do with the passage of time. It's to do with the past. It's to do with memory. The second verse in the song, for example, is all to do with memory and how my memory is kind of fading, but I have objects like videos and photos that remind me of things in the past, and then, but my own memory of that time is different. So then, but like, how do I reconcile both of those things? Things that I feel like a lot of people could maybe relate to. People who've had, a lot of changes in their lives, people who've had tumultuous lives where they've moved around a lot could relate to, perhaps, because that's my truth, I guess. But again,
it's open to interpretation.
yeah, and people have approached me in the past saying like, oh, I really liked that song, and I related to it a lot because it, I felt like it talked to me about my relationship with somebody, and I love that. Like, I love hearing what people are thinking with the lyrics.
Yeah.
Because that's way more important than what I think.
What you think? Correct. I get it.
Opinion,
I get it.
Yeah.
A lot of you mentioned like you write the music later on, like I mean the songs later on, right? Glass Animals, I think do the same thing.
Yeah, the lyrics later.
Yeah. They look at the song. They're like, okay, well, how do I feel about this? What feeling is it giving me?
Yeah.
And then they write accordingly to that. And I think it's beautiful because it sets the vibe of it quite nicely. Sometimes you have the lyrics overlapping everything else.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, dude, good on you. Like the music is great, and so looking forward to getting more from you. With that, what's next? What's anything new on the horizon? What's coming up?
Yeah, so I'm still currently on tour right now as of when this interview is being recorded.
Right.
But so I've got 2 more stops on the tour coming up in Indore, and then the final show in Delhi. And and after that, pretty soon afterwards, I will be releasing another song. It's called technically it'll be called IDWDT, but it stands for I Don't Want to Die Tonight. And that's my next single. And this was also a song that was written kind of immediately after I came back from the US. It was like I think a lot of music was just kind of pouring out at that point because there was a lot going on. And weirdly, when things are hectic, I think your mind is a bit more stimulated, so you feel like putting more words onto paper. So it was also written around the same time. Sonically, though, very different. I think without saying too much, I think the song is going to sound very different from Enlightened, and I'm excited to see what people think. And that'll be out soon.
Sweet.
People can stay tuned for that.
We are looking forward to getting that on air as well. When it comes out.
Amazing.
Because man, we like having you in the studios. We like chilling with you. And
likewise, yeah.
Pagal Henna Records is such a fun company that I like to work with.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
You guys make you get the best of artists from here. Like I think the curation is just A1.
Yeah, for sure. And they've really, Dhruv and Lucy especially have like really supported me and helped me through the years to like kind of like navigate this space. Because when I started with them, I was really like, I didn't know what anything was. And I think now I owe it to them in big part to like know how to like approach this entire music thing in general.
Because as much as we like to keep it like just about the music, it's not anymore about that.
For sure.
Have to like
but even more than that, I mean, even just about the music, like I think, as people, whoever is involved with the label, they have a sense of what I do. And I think, on some level they get it. And there's very little creative interference where they're trying to like tell me what to make, or they have a, I think I'm able to just kind of express myself however, and and that's the nice thing about the label is that there's so much variety, and everyone's really just they're just speaking their truth, and I think that's a nice thing.
A lot of times they have like labels who are like oppressive, like
exactly,
you have to like only follow their rules, and they're like, I'll make a pop track, dude. We want commercial music. But I think Pagal Henna actively like kind of avoids that at times, and like lets the artists do what they want to do, which I think is beautiful.
It's important to give them that space,
and I think in India, as we talked about, like music coming up in India, I think we need more labels and more people like this to help curate some great content and music in India. Well, before we wrap up, I have a rapid fire for you. Okay.
Sorry, I don't know if I should say.
It's okay, we cut it out.
Okay.
No. So rapid fire. Try to answer as fast as possible because sometimes it's supposed to be rapid fire, but it just becomes like a slow bonfire. Like it's just like a coal. And like I'm just like, take your time, don't worry about it. So let's see if you can handle the pressure.
Okay.
All right.
Do I win something?
No.
That's disappointing.
I'm not gonna draw, bro. That's a sad part. Not yet.
Not yet. Radio 1 is not giving you gifts.
No, dude. No. Sadly not.
Yeah, I would love one of these mics, man. This sounds nice. Yeah. Love how this sounds.
First of all, we only have a shortage over here. We keep shifting one mic from this studio to the other studio. So if you take one mics, we're like completely Roger over here. All right. So we got Rounak in the studios. It's a rapid fire with Rounak Maiti.
Okay.
What's your favorite color?
Green.
Why?
It's it just feels organic and natural, and it complements my skin tone.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah.
If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
Invisibility.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Switch it on and off as I please. Because it'd be nice to be somewhere and like.
Where would you go?
Because I'm like a weird voyeur, I would want to hear what people are saying about me.
Right.
Like I say something to someone and then I leave and then I just come back to hear what the reaction was to what I just did. That'd be fun.
What's the weirdest dream you've ever had?
The weirdest dream I've ever had. It's I have some kind of weird, kind of like strangely like dark dreams.
Uh-huh.
But I had this one dream like a few months ago where I was on a ship, like a cruise ship, and the ship is sinking. Which I know sounds really like horrible, but like a lot of the people on the ship were like people I disliked. So I was happy that it was happening. So it was like, you know, people like, you know how like random people show up in your dreams, people who you've met like once. You're like, why is this person in the dream? That happens to me a lot. Like my close friends and collaborators,
They won't be there.
they're not in my dreams. My parents rarely in my dreams. My close friends rarely in my dreams. But these random people,
And you dislike all of them?
just people I've had unpleasant experiences with, or like, you know, people I didn't like in my school, and you know, just people who kind of, I don't know, people I just didn't get along with.
Well, here's hoping that you know, I made a good impression on you.
No. Yeah. You're in the good. You won't be in my dream.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, that's good.
Yeah,
That's a good thing.
sign.
That's a good
thing.
sign.
Yeah.
Your favorite cuisine?
It's a very close tie between Thai food, Bengali food, and Mexican food.
If you had to choose one.
It's got to be Thai food. I'm sorry,
Okay.
Bengalis.
Nice.
Yeah, I can't eat it every day. It's too much. Yeah,
Really?
it's very heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like if you want to just sleep all day, then that's the
What
vibe.
you.
Yeah,
If you could go anywhere in the entire world,
like just
right now,
oh,
teleportation.
Japan.
Japan?
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Your favorite book?
I am not much of a reader at
Mhm.
all. I have not read like a lot of classic books.
Which
that
is
I
the
read.
last book you've read then?
Yeah, I will say the last book I read and really loved was The Vegetarian by Han Kang,
Mhm.
Korean author,
Lovely.
translated to English.
Uh-huh.
Very nice book, short book.
Uh-huh.
I read short books.
Better. Yeah.
Novellas. Yeah.
If you had to have a dinner with any historical figure, who would it be?
Damn. Like dead or alive? Or like
Anything.
anybody?
Yeah, anyone.
Is it problematic to say Kanye West?
No, I thought
Yeah.
you can say Kanye West.
I love dinner with Kanye West.
Yeah, how?
I just want to hear him talk about whatever he wants to talk about. I'm willing to just
That'll be
let him
fun
speak.
actually, though. Yeah,
It'll be really fun.
just keep a mic there, let him record, just say
Yeah.
whatever he wants.
I
You
mean,
just don't say anything.
his recent misgivings aside,
Mm.
I do think he's one of the most brilliant artists
He used to make
have
great music.
walked the earth.
Mm.
So yeah, I'll chill with him.
If
Yeah,
your
I'll
favorite
have-
movie,
My favorite movie, wow. These are really hard questions.
Really?
Yeah, because I have so many films that I
Right.
love. Damn. This is very difficult.
yeah, I know what you mean.
I'll just go for recency.
Yeah, yeah.
One of my favorite recent films is this Pakistani film called Joyland.
Mm-hmm.
I
haven't seen
It's a
it.
beautiful film. Yes, everyone should watch it.
No. Lovely.
The name of the director is slipping my mind right now, but it's a great film. Very important that people should watch this film called Joyland.
If
yeah.
you could learn a new skill, what would it be and why?
That's a good question. I would love to be really good at like carpentry,
Mm-hmm.
or like some kind of like sculpture, like some kind of physical craft.
Right.
Because I feel like the one thing with music is that it's not physical enough. It's too much of screen.
Mm.
I would like to like build something. So like either like carpentry or pottery would be really cool.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you so much for coming to
Yeah.
the studios, man. It's been
Yeah.
really fun
Did
having
I
you.
win?
on it. Yeah, you won.
I won. Cool.
You won.
I just needed you to say that I've won, Lee.